Hey guys, it's Amber here from Global Munchkins, and I'm so excited because today is my very first Facebook Live Travel Chat Tuesday. Kind of a mouthful. So Travel Chat Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about travel every Tuesday here on the Facebook page at 10 a.m. And I'm hoping that I can answer any of your questions, maybe give you some tips on a certain destination that you're going to be going to. So it's just an awesome way for us to talk about travel. Now, we're going to be talking about three things today. Number one, I'm going to share with you how I score the best flights. So I am like cheaper than cheap because I fly with 5 kids. So my husband and I plus the 5, that is 7 tickets I have to buy. And so I'm going to share with you some of the tips that I have on booking the cheapest travel in regards to airfare. The second thing I'm going to be talking to you about today is the cheapest form of travel for anybody, anywhere. Because one of the things people always say is I can't afford it. So I'm going to show you that everybody can afford to travel. There's just different ways of traveling. And the third thing is I have scoured the web all day yesterday to find the very best travel deals so that you can book an awesome vacation here in 2017. So let's, we'll go ahead and get started in a minute. I figured because it's the first time that we're doing this, I should kind of introduce myself and let you know who I am. So I am Amber. I am a travel writer. I have a blog. It's globalmunchkins.com. And I share my tips on traveling with kids all over the world. So I have these 5 kids right here. I know it's probably backwards. I think that's the way Facebook Live works. But I've got kids that range from 3 to 14, so 5 kids, and we travel all over the place. I've been traveling with my kids since my oldest was 3 months old, and we've never stopped. We did start with kind of the Disney type travel, things that were a little bit easier, but I mean his first trip was to Hawaii at 3 months, so they've all been traveling a ton now. We've also the past 5 years traveled more extensively. So we kind of broke out of our Disney shell and have kind of, wandered off and explored the rest of the world. So we've done things as far reached as Ethiopia and Dubai. We've done things traveled all across Europe. So whether it was, a lot of the tourist destinations over in Europe. So London, Rome, Paris, Barcelona. I also visited Prague last year. It was my favorite city by far of the whole year. So definitely Prague is an awesome place for kids too. And then we've traveled, all over the United States as well. So we've done a ton of traveling, and I'm hoping that, from my experiences, I can share with you some awesome ways to travel with your kids and have fun. There's usually 3 things people say about family travel. They say that either it's pointless, your kids are never going to remember it, it's way too expensive, we can't afford it, and it's just too hard, it's not even worth it. And so to those 3 things, I feel like, we can chat about that a little bit. As far as expenses go, traveling can be as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. So it's really about your mindset and what you want to do. And as far as it being a waste of money and your kids aren't going to remember it, I say baloney, because travel changes your kids. It kind of shapes them into who they are. And, my kids, because the stories that we talk about and about our travels, they remember these things, and maybe it's from pictures, maybe it's from memory, but I mean, these are a part of who they are. So I don't believe that travel is a waste of money at all. In fact, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I think that, my kids are who they are because they travel, that they're well cultured, they're well rounded, they're happy, they understand, some of the gifts and benefits we have here living in the United States compared to other parts of the world. They also have connections with people, and they see that the world is a much bigger place than, maybe the bully that's at school. So those are just some of the things that I feel about travel. Now, getting into what we said we're going to talk about. Number 1, I said we're going to talk about how we save money on our flights. Then we're going to go into the cheapest way to travel that anybody can do. And lastly, we're going to sum it up with the very best travel deals I have found online this week. And that way you can book an awesome vacation in 2017. So I guess let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk about saving money on flights. Now, if you are new to saving on money on your flights, you're going to want to do this and make sure that you do it. If you've been flying and checking out flights, you probably already know about this one, but you want to make sure that you clear your cookies. So that's basically wiping out your history, so that all the bots don't know that you've been looking at travel. After you clear your cookies, you're going to want to open up a screen that's incognito. You're going to open up an incognito screen. That's what they call it in Chrome. It also might be called a private screen, private window. You're doing that because you don't want the airlines to know that you're checking these prices, because if you do, it's, you know, just supply and demand, and you're checking them daily, you're going to end up paying jacked up prices that you don't want to pay. So please don't do that. Make sure you clear your cookies and that you're searching incognito. You're going to want to make sure that if you know where you're going to be traveling to, that you know the best times of year to travel to that destination. Sometimes it's just, you know, a month earlier, a month later. And so best ways that I've found to do that are to search on hopper.com or use the ITA Matrix software, which is another free tool that you can use online. And anything that I talk about in the show, I'm going to leave the links for you in a recap on the blog as well as in the comments. So if you don't have to like write down notes when I'm talking, just listen and you can just use those links. So you're going to be checking the best times, like I said, on hopper.com or using the ITA Matrix software, and that's going to show you, you know, okay, it's cheapest to fly during the summer, oh, it's cheapest to fly to this destinations in the fall. It also gives you the ranges, so you have an idea of like, okay, this is what I can expect to pay for these tickets, and that way you know when you found a good price, or, you know, okay, this is way overpriced right now, let me wait to book, or, you know, it just kind of gives you that heads up. The other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to check multiple search engines. So after you've figured out, you know, what time of year you're going to be traveling to your destination, you're going to want to check the actual prices. I usually use Google Flights, and then I open up another screen right next to it with always incognito screens with Momondo.com. And then sometimes I'll do like Cheapo Air or Skyscanner is another great one, or the Flight Network. So I open up all these screens and then I check my flights that way. Hey Lacey, thanks for joining. So after you open up your different screens, you can go ahead and check your prices that way. A lot of times Momondo gives you like a range, and Google Flight does as well. And so that way you're able to see, you know, maybe if you leave on a Tuesday, it's cheaper than leaving on a Wednesday. So that's a great way to book the flights. The Flight Network actually, if you book with them and the price drops, they will refund you your money in a form of a credit. So that way you're not even having to check back on the flights. You know, it's just another way for you to be able to save money on flights and make sure that somebody else has your back when you're doing it. Now then there's planning. Okay, so if you are flying domestically, you want to book at least 7 weeks in advance. If you fly internationally, you want to fly and check your flights and book them about 12 weeks in advance. Lessons are learned the hard way, and we've done this because we did a huge multi-generational trip this past summer. We did a Royal Caribbean cruise, and so the whole family and friends and everybody's flying out of LAX and into Fort Lauderdale. You know, we booked our tickets and we told everybody, book your tickets, you know, like 7 weeks in advance, and we paid, you know, I think like $130 a ticket. Our family, some of them, won't mention any names in case they're watching, but they didn't book until way later, and they paid like $500 a seat. So those kinds of costs you just don't need to do. So just make sure you're planning in advance. If you're flying domestically, try at least 2 months in advance to book your tickets. If you're flying internationally, try to do that about 12 weeks in advance. And if you do that, you should be pretty good. And you use, you know, the different search engines because they all have different algorithms. You know, you should be able to get some decent rates on your flights. The other thing that you can do if you don't know where you're flying to, or even if you do know where you're flying to, but you're not like super strict and you have a little bit of flexibility, is there are several people that I follow that post airfare deals via social media. So I follow The Flight Deal, Secret Flying, Skyscanner, Travel Pirates, and the Fair Deal Alert. So I follow all of those guys on Twitter. And like I said, I'll put all of this in the recap underneath in the comment section, all the links. But those are all the ones I follow. I follow them on Twitter because it's like live feed and I can just do it. I have a little list. It's like all my travel deals and I just check it a couple times a day when we're looking to fly somewhere. But they also have Facebook pages if that's your thing, or you can just log on to their websites. So The Flight Deal, Secret Flying, Skyscanner, Travel Pirates, and the Fair Deal Alert. If you follow them, they post either really phenomenal deals, or they also post airfare alerts. So an air, E-R-R-O-R, air, Airfares are incredible. It's basically the airline made a mistake and they posted a price that they shouldn't have, and they'll honor it. So like we scored round trip flights last summer from LAX to Australia, round trip for $450 a person. We also got $400 to Prague, which is the Czech Republic, and the flights there are always crazy expensive. Usually it's like $800, $900. You're lucky if you get a 6, so $400 was a really great rate. And I did that through those different deal alerts. It's also how we'll find out about some of the sales that I found out about that I'll share with you at the end when we talk about the deals that I found online for you guys. Those are how I'm finding them, is by, you know, following along on Twitter with these people that are posting these awesome fares. And you have to follow the instructions a lot of times because these are like last minute fares. You know, you're having to do it, maybe it's like 2 months in advance, 3 months in advance, but you didn't know you were going to go to this destination, right? It's like, oh my God, there's a huge sale on, you know, Iceland's been a huge one. You know, oh, it's, you know, only $150 round trip to Iceland, let's go. Well, you can book it through sites like Expedia and Orbit, and you can actually have 24 hours to cancel that flight if it's coming into or leaving out of the United States. So that gives you one whole day after you've booked them and you've got those flights in your pocket. You know, then you can kind of figure out if it's something you really can do. If it is, then you keep them, and if not, then you can cancel those flights. And that's how we've gotten a lot of the last minute kind of crazy deals that we've gotten. So those are my tips, I guess, for making sure you can book cheap flights. So number 1 is clear your cookies. Number 2 is search in an incognito or a private window. Make sure that you follow those deals that I told you on social media if you are not sure where you want to go, or, you know, maybe you have some flexibility. Make sure that you're checking multiple search engines, so Google Flights, Momondo, Cheapo Air, Skyscanner, and that way you're able to see, you know, who has the cheapest rates, because each of them has their own algorithm. So, you know, some of them might be checking, you know, the best rate for you to go, you know, without stopping, and maybe you don't care if you stop, so you might want to check another one. It kind of gives you a better idea on pricing for flights. And then plan 7 weeks at least advance for domestic, and you want to plan at least 12 weeks in advance for international flights. All right, so moving on to the next thing I was going to talk to you about. So people tell me all the time they can't afford to travel. You know, they don't have vacation time, they can't afford to travel, they just can't do it. Well, I had no idea that this was something that exists, but did you know you can hyper locally travel your own town? It sounds crazy and stupid, right? But turns out it's not, because I started doing it in my own town and I was shocked. Like, we have lived here for 13 years. You would think that I knew, you know, what was in my own town, but it turns out if you hop on TripAdvisor or Yelp, or, you know, like look at different like hiking websites, look on Pinterest for your town, you would be shocked at the things that tourists are finding in your own town, or maybe the suburbs right outside of your own town. So there's tons of stuff you can do, even if you can't afford a huge trip. I think the benefits of even just, you know, traveling for a weekend in your own town, even if you're sleeping in your own house, but you're, you know, traveling through and doing some really awesome stuff. Like where I live, there's hot air balloons. So we took the kids out one morning with donuts and, you know, laid on the hood of the car and watched the hot air balloons go up. You know, we've picnicked in the wineries here locally, and those days are special. Like, they're different than our normal day to day. So, you know, if you really don't think you have any money to travel, I would encourage you to try to travel your town like a tourist. You know, don't go anywhere, no flights, no gas money, you know, just travel your own town. You would be shocked at the things that you can find. All right, so lastly, I told you that I found some really great deals for you. So get ready, because if you're addicted to travel like I am, you are gonna wanna book some flights, because me looking at flights for you guys and looking at some really great travel deals is only putting more traveling into my own life, because I'm like, oh my God, we gotta do this. So some of the deals I found, a lot of them are out of LAX, because that's the airport I fly out of. So LAX or San Francisco to Rome, round trip, starting at only $423 round trip. So Norwegian's got some really awesome flights. You can fly between January and May of 2017, and you know, me and my husband were just looking it up, and I found, you know, excellent rates even over spring break. So you know, if Rome is something you've always wanted to do and you live and can fly out of either LAX or San Francisco, definitely check into those flights. It's off Norwegian, so you can check, you know, the different search engines, or because Norwegian is a discount airline, you can just go onto their website themselves and search and find those. Okay, next up, one of my favorite places is Indonesia. you can fly from LAX to Jakarta, Indonesia, round trip for $490. You guys, that's pretty awesome because when you get over to Indonesia, the food and the lodging is super cheap. It is incredible, gorgeous. The people are wonderful, so nice. So that's another fantastic one. That's on Qatar Airlines, so you can check their flights. And I'll leave links to all of this, like I said, in the comments and also in the recap on the blog. That same airline, Qatar, has Dallas to Bangkok for $470 as well, round trip. So those are some really awesome ones. If you are on the East Coast, my East Coast friends, you know, you can fly New York or Boston to multiple cities in Spain through American or British Airways, and they're starting at like $350 round trip. So those are really awesome because Spain is phenomenal. It's a beautiful place. You know, we didn't stay nearly long enough, and I'd love to return. So even if you can find a good flight from LAX to New York and then head over, you know, that $350 price round trip is pretty incredible to fly, like I said, from New York or Boston over to, like, they have tons of cities in Spain you can fly to, including Barcelona and Madrid. Travelzoo also has some packages. When my husband and I first went to Bali, we did a package through Living Social, and so these package deals can be really great deals and a great way if you are nervous about booking too many things on your own. They've packaged it all up for you. You can check and do the, go to TripAdvisor and check all the ratings, make sure it's a great airline, make sure that they're putting you in nice hotels. But in our case, they were, and so it was a fantastic trip, and it was super cheap. So Travelzoo's got two packages right now that I think are fantastic. Number one is a 9-night Prague trip. It includes rail to Vienna and Budapest as well. So you're going to fly into Prague, stay 3 nights there, then go take the train to Vienna, 3 nights there, take the train to Budapest, 3 nights there, and then you fly out of right out of Budapest. It includes all of the lodging, it includes every breakfast, it includes all the rail, the taxes, the fees, and it's only $939 a person total. So like I said, I scored cheap flights to Prague, and that was like about $430. $900 including, the rail, your lodging, the taxes and fees, every breakfast. That's a really killer deal. That's awesome. And if you're not familiar with Prague, I did 18 trips last year. Prague was my #1 destination. It is like a fairy tale. Like, it is like you're in like real world Disney World. Like, castles and, people singing and, trolley cars and beautiful public transportation. You could get like goulash in a bowl for like $1, and it was delicious. They have hot grog, grog, something like that, from like Frozen. It's so cool. So that's an awesome deal going on right now on Travelzoo for Prague. So I definitely check that out. There's also a trip they have on Travelzoo for Costa Rica. Costa Rica is another one that my kids probably would tell you hands down that was their favorite vacation of all time. Probably because it was like crazy adventurous and, gave mom a heart attack the whole time because they were ziplining upside down and swimming in places that, might have crocodiles. But turns out we could have been more intelligent about traveling to Costa Rica, and we didn't have to be as adventurous as we were. So, don't be scared. Costa Rica is fantastic. I love it. So $799 a person to Costa Rica includes the round trip airfare, just like the Prague did, 6 nights of lodging, ground transport, some of the meals, some of the tours, taxes and fees. And they do take you up to Arenal, the volcano, which is just absolutely magical and beautiful. So Costa Rica is another fantastic one. Both Prague and Costa Rica are great for kids, as is Rome and Bali. So everywhere I'm listing is fantastic to take your kids. And if you want to book one of these and have questions about these locations, please leave them in the comments. Email me at amberm@globalmunchkins.com. I would love to help you get your family off on an awesome trip. There's actually a destination right now that will pay you to come visit, and that is the U.S. Virgin Islands. So if you book a trip, I think from now and through October, and you through their site, and you stay at least 3 nights at one of their selected hotels, which are they have some fantastic hotels, they will pay you $300. So it's pretty fantastic to get paid to travel somewhere. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. So U.S. Virgin Islands, if you want to go there, this year is going to be an awesome year to do it. So the reason they're doing it is they're celebrating their 100 years of being an American territory. So they're celebrating by giving you $300 to visit, which is pretty fantastic. Lastly, and now this one's going to kill you. You're going to want to book a trip right now because WOW Airlines has flights from the West Coast to Europe. Get this, starting at $69 each way. And not like starting at like where you're not going to find them. No, like you can go to Scotland, Denmark, Sweden for like less than $150 round trip. That is crazy, crazy, you guys, from LAX all the way to Europe. And it's gonna cost you less than a fly to like one of the states within our own country. So that is pretty crazy, and I would definitely jump on that. That's WOW Air. Now, WOW Air is a discount airline, so you know I've flown them. I think they're fantastic. The seats are they're pretty narrow and skinny, but not much narrower or skinnier than any other coach flight these days. So don't get tricked. You know, it's not an uncomfortable seat. It's fine. They do also pay baggage fees, but so do a lot of the other carriers these days. So just make sure when you're booking your flight that you understand all of those things. I say, you know, I have several videos on my site on how to pack light. The lighter you pack, the better anyways, all around, and it's really not difficult. So I can help you with that, and that way you can save and be able to go on some awesome vacation. I'm telling you right now, we are looking at, you know, Scotland, Sweden, or Denmark for our family just after looking up those deals, because those are crazy. Like, those are like deals where you're like, I could fly around the world and I'm only paying $150. That's insane. So anyways, I just want to thank all of you guys for, you know, showing up, for watching this on replay, for stopping by and saying hi. Hi, Mom. My mom just joined. So, you know, thank you for coming by. Please come by, stop in. You can do it every Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on Facebook. Leave me comments if you have questions about certain destinations or anything travel related, you know, family travel related. I would love to help you out and get you out there, you know, being smart, saving money, and traveling more together with your family. So make sure you check globalmunchkins.com for the replay if you're looking for the links, or check the comments right here. That would be fantastic. And I guess that's it. Bye for now.